Today, we're diving into the sweet world of Greek desserts. We're gonna be whipping up a beautiful Sokolatopita, a rich, decadent chocolate cake soaked in a beautiful syrup and topped with a creamy ganache. You're gonna love it. If you're a chocolate lover like me, you're in for a treat. Let's jump right into it. First things first, we're gonna be making our chocolate syrup. We're gonna do this straight up because we wanna give it as much time as possible to cool back down. So in a saucepan, we're gonna put inside 600 mils of water. I've got 600 grams of sugar. And lastly, I've got 100 grams of unsweetened cocoa powder. So just tip this in there as well. Now I'm gonna put this onto a high heat. We're gonna stir it up and we're gonna bring it to a boil. Now when you see it starting to roll and forming a beautiful foam on the surface, just like a Greek coffee, that's when you know it's done. So you just turn the heat off, set it aside and leave it to cool down. Now moving on to the sponge section of the cake, we're gonna add to a bowl 4 whole eggs. We'll just crack these inside here. Bang, 1, 2, 3, and lucky number 4. Boom, inside, done. All right, so the eggs are in. We're now gonna put inside 200 grams of sugar. So just tip this in the bowl. Grab a beater and we're just gonna beat this up for a few minutes until it becomes nice, light and fluffy. All right, now that is done. I'll show you what this looks like. It's just white, fluffy. If it looks like this, you'll be fine. Now, what we're gonna do is add inside 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Nice, pop that down. Next, we're gonna get 250 grams of unsalted butter, melted, and I've popped a little bit aside just so we can use later on to coat the bottom of our dish that we're gonna be baking in. So with the remainder, we'll just pop this in here, tip it all in, lovely. Now we're gonna grab ourselves 1 orange and we're gonna pop the zest into this bowl here. Now the orange zest, it just adds a bright and citrusy flavor to the Sokolatopita. It just helps make it that little bit more refreshing and complements the rich chocolate flavor, just making it even more interesting and delicious. All right, now that's done. Just gonna grab a little hand whisk, just combining it all beautifully together. We're just now gonna pop this aside and we're gonna move on to sorting out our dry ingredients. Now, in another bowl, we're gonna start off by adding inside 200 grams of plain flour. So just tip this in here. We're gonna grab 100 grams of unsweetened cocoa powder, pop this inside. Now grab yourself 1 tablespoon of baking powder. And lastly, we're gonna pop inside ½ a teaspoon of salt. So this just helps enhance the chocolate flavor by balancing the sweetness and overall just intensifying the taste. Okay, so the next thing to do is grab all our dry ingredients that we just mixed together and pop it into our bowl with all the wet ingredients. Give this a really good mix together until it forms a nice, beautifully smooth batter. This is what mine looks like once it's all mixed together. And let me tell you, I just want to eat this. It's on my finger. That's enough for now. We'll hold it off till the end. So it's time to put our batter now into our baking dish. What I've got here is 32 centimeters by 21 centimeters. Have a look there. Right, so if you get something similar to me, that's gonna work best for this recipe. The first thing we're gonna do though is grab that butter that we took out before when we melted our 250 grams and just coat the bottom and the sides of the dish. Now once that's done, grab your batter and we're gonna slowly just tip it inside the dish. Now just spread it out evenly throughout. So we'll just move him around, take your time. Good things take time. Nice and even. Everyone's piece should be the same size or as best as possible. And that will do us. So I'll show you what it looks like. That is what mine looks like there. And now what I'm gonna do is pop this into a preheated oven at 160 degrees Celsius, set to fan. And I will show you how to tell whether this cake is ready or not. It's been 30 minutes. Let me tell you, it smells like magic in here. It's killer. So grab yourself a stick. I'm just using a bamboo souffle stick. I'm just gonna poke this into the cake. And now, if I pull it out and there's nothing on it, so it's pretty clean, you know it's done. If you do pull it out and yours is still a bit gooey, just pop it back into the oven for a couple minutes, test it again until it's at the desired consistency that you need. But mine's good, so we're just gonna keep going. Now this next step is very important, okay? Take the stick and poke holes through the entire cake, all right? And it's just gonna help make sure that it's gonna be perfectly moist everywhere, which is exactly what we want. Now we're gonna grab our cooled chocolate syrup and we're gonna pour it all over the top of this hot cake. Now it will look like a lot, but trust me, it's gonna get absorbed and it's the perfect amount for this size of cake. Now we're just gonna let this sit for about an hour, soak up all the chocolatey goodness, and by then it will have cooled all the way down to room temperature, making it ready for us to work with again and apply our beautiful ganache over the top. This is what mine looks like after an hour. You can see it's all pretty well soaked in, which is exactly what we want, and we're ready to start working again. Now for the ganache, I've got a small pot, which I'm gonna stick back on my guzzi, and I'm gonna add inside 150 mils of thickened cream in here. We'll pop the heat back on. We're gonna make this very warm or very hot, but we're not gonna let it boil. All right, the cream is almost ready. I can see it starting to bubble a little bit. Give it a bit of a test. Don't do this. A little bit more. All right, that should do us. I'll turn this heat off and I'm just gonna pop this to the side. Now in another bowl, I've got 300 grams of milk chocolate, okay? So this here's what mine looks like. We're gonna take our hot cream and we're gonna pour all of this on top. And now we're just gonna give this all a good mix together and keep stirring until everything's combined nicely and you've got a beautiful texture of chocolatey ganache. That's ripper. Anyway, that's done. So it's time to pour this on top of our cake. So I'll bring this over front and center. Try to pour this on as evenly as possible. Have a look how good that looks. And always, you have to lick the spoon. You want to test your supplier before you give this out to anybody. I'll try to pour this as evenly as possible, but still as always, if need be, just spread it out and make sure it looks perfectly and evenly coated. All right, so we're gonna let this sit, come to room temperature, and then pop it in the fridge for a few hours. We wanna really let the ganache set beautifully. Now, I hope you're as excited as I am to cut this up, but honestly, I can't wait to eat this, so I'll see you soon. All right, let's take this bad boy out. That looks killer. I'm excited to cut this. So, I'll grab myself a knife, and look how magical this looks when you cut it. It's just like, it just glides right through. What I've done is I've cut 3 lines this way, we'll flip it like that, and we're gonna do another 2 down here, giving us a total of 12 pieces. So, now, the moment of truth, we're gonna pop one out and show you what it looks like, okay? There. That looks killer. Unreal. Now, before we try this, we're gonna make it look a little bit extra special. I've got some whipped cream here, and we're just gonna pipe a little bit on the top, just to make it sparkle. Oh, look, my mouth's drooling, but we still got that little bit more just to top it off. We're gonna put a little bit of garnish on top of Lindt dark chocolate, and we're just gonna grate it over the top. A little bit more special again. That's gotta be one of the best looking chocolate cakes you ever seen. All right, now let's give this a taste. Unreal. I'm telling you, this is going to impress your taste buds. Perfectly moist, soft, creamy, and literally melts in your mouth. Now, if you make this recipe at home, I'd love to know your thoughts. DM me on Instagram or comment down below in the comments. Until next time, yasas, and thanks for watching.